All right, guys, so today in front of me from Blue Run Spirits, we have their Kentucky Straight Emerald Rye Whiskey. Now, this was distilled by Jim Rutledge over at Castle Key Distillery. It is cask strength, coming in at 116.7 proof. It's non-age stated, a blend of 3 high rye mash bills, and this actually serves as the follow-up to the Golden Rye Whiskey. So Blue Run Whiskey Director Shaylyn expertly blended 189 barrels of this Emerald Rye with 3 prominent notes in mind that the Blue Run team was looking for. One was herbs, peppers, and robust spice, which all serve as the foundation to this Emerald Rye. Definitely excited to get into this one, guys. So without further ado, let's go. All right, guys, so as I stated, this is cask strength, coming in at 116.7 proof, non-age stated, and it was a blend of 3 high rye mash bills. Let's go ahead and get into the nose. So this one comes off very sweet. So the first 2 things that I get a little bit further into the glass is this honey and butterscotch mixture. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Werther's candy, but then also like a mixture of like that little the little yellow butterscotch candies as well. Very, very sweet on the nose, especially further into the glass. And then further away from the glass, there's like this slight fruitiness, maybe a little hint of like an apple maybe, but then there's a lot of caramel further away from the glass. There's a lot of rye spice kind of poking through as well. Again, further into the glass is really where it starts to get very, very sweet with that honey and butterscotch, maybe a hint of toffee in there as well. But yeah, I mean, very, very sweet on the palate either way you go, further in or further away. Not overly sweet, like candy sweetness, but you do get, a lot of that sweetness further into the glass. Some caramel, like I said, some rye spice that kind of pokes through there on the back. But then, yeah, like that rye spice it's almost like there's like a hint of like some black pepper in there as well. So mixture of like some black pepper, some apple further away. But yeah, I mean, definitely on the sweeter side, but not super, super sweet. Let's get into the palate, guys. Cheers. That was an interesting first sip. So definitely a very creamy mouthfeel on this one. So on the front of the palate, it's like this creamy pear. Definitely comes off a little fruit forward. Then as it makes its way to the middle of the palate, I get this like some earthy notes start to pop up there a little bit. Almost like a slight hint of like a tea. Maybe like a black tea. But then I pick up this there's a nice kind of like basil note to it as well. Don't really pick that up too often. Definitely a note that I'm very familiar with. But sitting there right across the middle of the palate, creaminess definitely kind of stays there throughout the sip all the way into the finish. Nice kind of caramel, vanilla kind of sweetness there to kind of balance out that earthiness a little bit. Rye spices definitely kind of there on the mid to back palate, as well as some black pepper kind of flowing through into the finish. It's a short to medium finish, probably more on the medium side. Still, that creaminess and viscosity is kind of maintained there. Really nice first sip. I would say it definitely drinks its proof, especially on that first sip. I think some of the rye spices too kind of contributed to that pop of spiciness there as well. Let's go ahead and get a second, guys. So that sip changed completely. So still getting a lot of that fruit, forward. Flavor there on the front of the palate, like that creamy pear, and then middle of the palate, there's definitely like this earthiness to it. It's like cooking up, again, some of the like peppers with some basil. The basil note definitely still there. Second sip, the rye spice definitely started to drop a little bit, and that brought forth like this really interesting tobacco tobacco note with that pepper, and then that rye, like a little bit of that rye spice left that's kind of lingering on into the finish. Yeah, I mean that's and you know what I like about this one too is it's maintained its creaminess, and that viscosity leaves really nice oils all around the palate. And it's very easy to drink too. For 116 proof, I could put this bottle back very easily. Very, very easy to drink. And you know, there's not one note that's overly dominating anything else. It's a great blend of flavors. And then some of the flavors I'm not used to as far as whiskey, like as far as food. Picking up those peppers and a little bit of that basil. That's more on the food side. Not stuff I typically pick up. I will pick up some spicy peppers and things like that, but not necessarily like those types of peppers. But you do get that kind of like earthiness there on the center of the palate. It's like very sweet, and then fruity, and then kind of goes into this like these earthy notes, and then there's like this hint of tobacco there on to the finish with some of that pepper, and then some of that rye spice that's like left lingering. But it's nice because the rye spice kind of, like I said, it died down and kind of brought forth more of some of those additional flavors. Again, medium finish. Doesn't, if this had a long finish, that'd be something, man. But it's definitely a medium finish regardless. Great flavors on it, though. Let's get a last sip, guys. Cheers. So it changed again. So that pear, that creamy like pear is sitting there on the front of the palate. This beautiful, just like the brown butter note completely just saturated my entire palate from front to back, all the way into the finish. Again, some of those earthy notes are there. Again, that rye spice has kind of died down at this point. There's definitely, some of that basil definitely sits there on the middle of the palate right there. Again, something that I'm not really used to as far as whiskey, but as far as food, yes, so I could easily kind of pick that note up. And then towards the back is really where in my opinion, the flavors kind of shine from the mid to back palate and then through the finish, because it's like this tobacco-y brown butter peppery finish with like a little hint of like this rye spice that's just kind of like tagged along with the rest of these flavors. Like I said, the rye spice that was on the center of the palate on the first sip died, brought forth all these other flavors. Again, that brown butter went from the front all the way into the back on that last sip. So this is definitely something that, the flavors, they do remain consistent, but they this one kind of evolves as well. So I do have a bottle here, thanks to the Blue Run Spirits. I went through this sample first time I tasted it right here, poured the entire thing in the glass. So I do want to kind of go into this bottle and see, how it continues to evolve as it opens up, because just those 3 sips, I got a different note on each one of the 3. So, but as far as the blending that went into this, I think they did a great job here. I know they said they had stored them in 2 different parts of Kentucky. I guess to try to see what the temperature ranges may do to some of the barrels and some of the flavors. But again, a lot of really nice flavors on this one that kind of surprised me, to be honest. Definitely drinks its proof. Nice viscosity, nice mouthfeel. Well done by the team over there at Blue Run Spirits. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I want to send a big thank you over to the team at Blue Run Spirits for supplying me with these samples here to review on the channel. Guys, definitely one to think about buying. This is something that, again, is, it remains, the flavors remain consistent, but there's also, the flavors also evolve on this one. Like I said, as those rye spices kind of die down, it brings forth some of these other flavors that are kind of very unique to some of these whiskeys. Again, picking up some of that that tobacco, and then this like brown butter note that sits across there, and then this basil and like these peppers. Very, very surprising flavor profile to this one. It's something I definitely like, and something I definitely want to dig into a little bit more to see how more it continues to evolve on the palate. What else can I pull out of here? Will it stay consistent? I'll be finding out as soon as I crack this bottle open, guys. But again, big thank you over to the team at Blue Run Spirits for supplying me with these samples here to review on the channel. So guys, if you're looking for more reviews like this, hit that subscribe button, bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You can also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. Until next time, guys, stay dusty.